Hello everyone, I'm glad you're here. We have some critical new reports coming in, and things are moving fast across Europe. I used to be on the inside, working for a major media outlet. I saw firsthand how they spin stories, how they twist the facts to fit a pre-approved narrative. I couldn't do it, I walked away. Now I'm independent, I tell you what I see, and I focus on what truly matters. And I appreciate you being here to seek out that independent perspective. If you value this, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and maybe even consider becoming a channel sponsor. It's your support that keeps this analysis free and independent. Now, I have to start with what's happening in the UK, as it really sets the stage. King Charles was recently put in an extremely difficult position while visiting a cathedral. A protester, reportedly from the group Republic, started shouting some very hard-hitting questions. He brazenly asked the king about his brother, Prince Andrew, and his relationship with Epstein. The questions were direct. How long have you known about Andrew and his connections? Did you ask the police to cover for Andrew? Should members of Parliament be debating the royal family in the House of Commons? These are tough questions. Now, in line with the usual royal reaction to unwanted criticism, the policy is never complain, never explain. The king completely ignored the persistent individual, showing no reaction at all. But it doesn't matter. The moment was captured, it has already appeared in global media, and discussions are raging across social networks. As we know, the royal family's public image has deteriorated recently, especially following the scandalous connections of Prince Andrew, which, let's be honest, the king almost certainly had to know about. But that's not the only unbelievable story coming out of Britain. Add this to the mix. According to the Labour Party's latest plans to achieve net zero carbon emissions, they intend to cut down forest areas. Yes, you heard that right. They plan to clear forests to make room for solar power stations and wind turbines, all as part of their program for developing green energy. And here is the punchline. It's worth remembering that the United Kingdom gets just over 100 sunny days per year. What an absolutely baffling turn of events. Meanwhile, over in Germany, a very serious issue has been raised by the Minister of Health, Nina Warnecke. She has decided that silence is no longer an option. Warnecke spoke out in defense of Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who had faced sharp criticism for his comments about the changing face of German cities, stating that Germany has changed and has become dangerous, especially in the evenings. When Nina Warnecke was asked directly if no-go zones for women exist in Germany, the minister replied, "Yes, they do." She said many women tell her they avoid certain places, including riding the train. She finds it incomprehensible why anyone like Chancellor Merz, who decides to broach this topic, is immediately put under pressure. She stated that both young and elderly women often feel unsafe in public places, avoiding specific areas and routes, and most of them now carry pepper spray. These are the realities voiced by the German health minister. So now we watch for the response. From the left, from the Greens, and from groups like the Grannies Against the Right, and how all the, shall we say, paid protest movements in Germany will react to her words. And then there's the situation with China. After the planned diplomatic trip to China by the head of the foreign ministry, Johann Wadephul, was cancelled, a comment came from Beijing. They reacted to the postponed trip by demanding respect, which in their opinion is not being adequately shown. This is especially true, they say, because China views its relations with Germany from a strategic and long-term perspective. This follows earlier criticism from Germany regarding China's position on Taiwan and its behavior in the South China Sea. In turn, Foreign Minister Wadephul announced that they expect fair trade with China in all areas, including rare earth elements and microchips, and that they will find partners in Beijing again. He expressed confidence in this. So the intrigue here is enormous, and it continues. Good relations are more important now than ever. There is a clear dependency on supplies from China. As we know, the microchip shortage hit the German automotive industry hard. On top of that, we just got a report that the company Bosch has announced a reduction in working hours due to these very supply difficulties. Although even before the chip crisis, problems at Bosch were mounting. Rising costs, the transition to electric mobility, and a decline in orders were already happening. Things are very complicated in that sector, so we are watching closely. But there's an interesting side note from Germany today. It's being reported that after just 3 weeks of training, German astronauts successfully landed a Bundeswehr, that's the German army, helicopter in the snowy Alps. This was apparently training for a moon landing. As they explained, a vertical landing in space can only be simulated on Earth using a helicopter. So what the German astronauts achieved in just 3 weeks is being called incredibly impressive. When German journalists asked the appropriate question, what will astronauts do on the moon? What is there left to discover? The answer was, a lot. With each Artemis mission, more and more infrastructure will be left on the moon, allowing future generations to conduct further research in space. The goal of the European Space Agency is to create a European research base on the moon, similar to the scientific stations in Antarctica. So that's the explanation they gave. All that's left is the small matter of actually flying to the moon. That flight is reportedly planned for next year if nothing gets in the way. Now, over in France, specifically in Paris, 10 people have been brought to trial for the online harassment of the French president's wife, Brigitte Macron. This French trial is separate from a US case and is related to a legal complaint filed by Brigitte Macron last year. We know today that the 10 accused, 8 men and 2 women, aged 40 to 60, could face up to 2 years in prison if found guilty. According to prosecutors, the accused, who all deny any wrongdoing, are charged with making numerous malicious comments. So, they have started putting people on trial for their comments. Obviously, these were likely comments of a very harsh nature. We are now watching this judicial process to see how it ends. And in Sweden, the government has unveiled a long-awaited bill to lower the age of criminal responsibility from 15 down to 13. It's been no secret for a long time that the number of criminal groups there is growing. This initiative is a consequence of years of concern about criminal gangs recruiting young people to commit various illegal acts. Now is a good time to remind you, if you're getting value from this breakdown, please hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. And let me know what you think about this move in Sweden. Is 13 too young, or is it a necessary step? Drop a comment below. If this reform is adopted, 13-year-olds could be sentenced to prison. The government had previously instructed the Swedish prison service to create separate units in youth prisons for those aged 15 to 17. Now, this concept will be expanded to include 13 and 14-year-olds. Now regarding new reports related to American President Donald Trump. He is currently on his Asian tour and has stopped in Japan for 2 days. This stop in the land of the rising sun is the second on his week-long tour of Asia. Immediately upon arrival in Tokyo, Trump went to a reception with the Japanese emperor, whom he had met before back in 2019. Also scheduled for today is a meeting with the new head of the cabinet, Sanae Takaichi. Trump noted that he is looking forward to personally meeting Takaichi, who is Japan's first female prime minister. Donald Trump will remain in Japan until Wednesday, but what the whole world is really waiting for are the results of the upcoming meeting between the American president and the leader of China, Xi. In other Trump-related news, Time magazine has replaced the photo on its upcoming November issue cover. The original one he apparently did not like. He had previously criticized the first photo quite harshly, calling it the worst of all. He said, and I quote, "My hair disappeared and something like a floating crown appeared on my head, only very small." That's the literal complaint from Donald Trump. The new photo shows Donald Trump in his office with his familiar hairstyle. Now everyone is eagerly awaiting a new comment from Trump himself. And finally, there's a very interesting development today from the United States, out of Silicon Valley. Workers there are reportedly getting plastic surgery in massive numbers. For anyone who forgot, this is the region in California where the headquarters and research centers of world-famous tech companies are concentrated. And the techies, as they're called, are running to plastic surgeons, Botox, facelifts, fillers, all, as one might ironically say, to look like a new iPhone instead of an old printer. Demand for these rejuvenation procedures has apparently grown fivefold. The reason given? New requirements. If you look old or outdated, you simply will not be hired by a trendy startup. This is the new turn of events. In the IT sphere, the main thing isn't just that your software is updated, but that your face also matches the latest version, the new requirements. It just shows how much things are changing in our world. So, let's just recap the key points we're tracking. We have the UK monarchy under fire over Prince Andrew, while the Labour Party plans to cut down forests for green energy. We see German officials admitting to no-go zones for women. We have Sweden lowering the age of criminal responsibility to 13. And in the US, we have tech workers turning to plastic surgery to stay relevant, while Trump navigates his Asia tour. These are the informational moments for today, for right now, and they truly speak volumes. Write your opinions below. Let me know what you think about everything I've covered. I truly appreciate you tuning in for this independent analysis. If you found this valuable, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and consider becoming a channel sponsor. Your support is what allows me to do this, to cut through the noise and bring you the facts. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you for watching.